Hello everyone. Today we have been asked to design a ride sharing system, right? So let's see what the question states and what are the requirements or what are the sub problems mainly. So here in this case we have been asked to design a ride sharing system that is similar to Uber or Ola that handles basically these are the requirements, right? These are the subparts. So that handles onboarding drivers and riders. So that handles onboarding drivers and riders, the first one. The second one here is matching riders to the nearby drivers. It has to match the riders to the nearby drivers. The third one is we have to support the trip request start as well as end. So that's what they have given in the question here. The final one is payment in the trip history. We should be able to make the payment and the trip history, right? That also we have to show. These are the four things that they have asked us to do basically. So in simple terms, we have been asked to design a ride sharing system that is similar to Uber or right. So I hope the question is completely clear, easy to understand, right? You can just go through it again. If you didn't understand, you can just go through it again, right? So I'll just comment this one. First, what shall we do? Let's discuss the UML diagram. Let's discuss the UML diagram. What are the core classes that we'll be making use of? What are the variables we'll be making use of? What are the methods we'll be making use of within the class? So these things we'll be discussing. And after discussing the UML diagram, let's write the code. Let's write the code accordingly with the approach or accordingly with the UML diagram. So let's write the code step by step. Then let's check for the output and then let's discuss the complexities and the future scope. So initially let's discuss the this one UML diagram first. So here this is just the high level overview, right? So here first we are going with the ride sharing system class. So first we are going with the ride sharing system class. This one I'm speaking of, right? So here drivers and riders within the ride sharing system we should be having riders, drivers as well as rides, right? So riders, this one drivers as well as the rides. Riders and drivers will be of the type map, right? So we'll be making use of the hash map. We'll be going with the map for the drivers as well as riders. So rides, we should be having the list of rides. So we'll be making use of the array list, basically list. When I say rides, we'll be going with the type list, basically. Just keep this in mind. So within the ride sharing system, we have the variables drivers, riders as well as the rides. Here we will be going with the methods register driver. So we have to register the drivers, right? We have to register the driver. We have to register the riders as well, rider as well, drivers, riders, and we should be able to request the ride, we should be able to start the ride, and we should be able to end the ride. So these things that we'll be doing within the ride sharing system. So first step here is we'll be going with the register driver method, register rider method as well, request ride method here, and start ride as well as the end ride. These things we will be considering within the ride sharing system class. Just keep this in mind. Riders and drivers, for that we'll be making use of the hash map or map of something, right? So rides will be of the type list, basically the list of rides, you can just consider, right? So we'll be making use of the array list, nothing but list in this case. So these are the methods: register driver, register rider, request rider, start ride, and end ride. So these are the methods that we'll be making use of within the ride sharing system, right? So next, this is basically ride sharing system. Within the ride sharing system we have the drivers as well as the riders. Here you can clearly see these I'm speaking of, right? So these are the part of ride sharing system, basically driver and rider. So driver should be having the access to location, right? He should take the ride, this one guide to the certain location, right? So rider should be provided with the driver should be provided with the location, and we have to make sure that is driver available or not, right? Is driver available or not? So these two things, right? So these two things we have to keep in mind. So for the rider, location, basically rider should be able to book book the location, right? So these things, for the rider we should provide the location. So these things we have to keep in mind. So next let's come to the ride part here. This one third class, right? So now fourth class, right? We have already discussed ride sharing system, which basically depends, I mean these two things depends on the ride sharing system, driver and rider. We know this one. These three classes we have already discussed. Let's come to the ride part here. Ride part, within the ride we should be having rider as well as the driver. right? So within the ride, we should be quite obviously having the driver and rider, and status of the ride as well, whether it is ongoing, whether it is completed, whether started, something status. We have to have the status at any cost, right? So this is what I'm speaking of. Ride, within the ride, we have driver, rider, and status as well here in this case, right? So these things we need to consider here. Driver, rider, and status. So this is, I'm speaking of the class ride basically. Next, ride uses location. Quite obviously, ride uses location, right? The starting location and the end location, right? Starting location and the end location. Here, x, which is of the type int, and y, which is of the type int. These are nothing but the location, basically locations, right? So this one we have to consider. See, this is location class. Basically, these are the 5 classes that we will be considering, right? Ride sharing system. Basically, driver and rider. This one depend on ride sharing system, right? Here in this case, a ride sharing system consists of drivers, riders, rides, and the methods register driver, register rider, request ride, start ride, and end ride. These are the things we'll be considering. Methods, basically, these are methods, right? So these are variables that we'll be making use of. So then here, these are the variables we'll be making use of within along with the data type. So here, driver and rider depend on this one, ride sharing system. Basically, directly they depend on ride sharing system. So driver should be able to driver should be having the access for the location, and we have to make sure whether the driver is available or not. So these two things, rider and rider should be having the access to the location as well. So this one, he should be able to book accordingly with the location, right? So these things we have to keep in mind. So ride, let's come to the ride part here. Ride, within the ride we have driver, rider. Obviously, when we are considering ride, driver and rider should be present, right, at any cost. And status as well. Status means whether the ride is ongoing, whether the ride has started, whether the ride has completed. These are the status basically. Let's see that one while we write the code. We can just print anything accordingly within the SO, right, within the status. So these things. So location is directly dependent on ride. Basically, ride uses the location. So start and end. In simple terms, we'll be going with the x and y. X is of the type int and y is of the type int. So this is it. So this itself, we will be articulating exact this thing. We'll be articulating in the form of code. You should be knowing this, right? So you should be knowing this. We have successfully discussed the UML diagram, right? So now let's start writing the code. Now let's start writing the code. After writing the code, let's discuss the complexities on the future scope. Now, for now, let's start writing the code. So let's start writing the code here. First thing, we have to import the necessary utilities, whether it may be hash map, UUID. We need the UUID as well. So for that one, I'll be going with java.util.star. So this is fine. So the next step is let's represent the geographical location within the class location, right? So I'll just go with class location. We had the class location in the UML diagram, if you remember, right? So within the location, what we will do, we were having x and y, if you remember, both the type int, right? So that's what we are giving here. This is fine. So, and let's go with the this one. What do we call? Constructor. We have to initialize x and y, right? So let's go with the constructor location here. So here int x, comma, int y. So this is fine. So within the constructor, what are all the things that we need to this one initialize? This dot x and y, right? So this dot x will be, we are initializing this one to x, this dot y, let's initialize this one to y. This is fine. So let me come out of this one constructor. So basically here, right? So let's go with the distance to method. Let's go with the distance to method. So we will be calculating the Euclidean distance between the location, means x and y. We have x and y, right? We will be calculating the Euclidean distance between two locations. So I'll just go with the method distance to here, which is of the type double. So I'll just go with here distance to. So I just give here location other. So this is fine. So I'm just considering the parameter other in this case. So I'll just give here dx so equals this dot x. So this dot x minus other dot x. This is nothing but we are calculating the Euclidean distance between the two locations. Don't get confused here, right? So here this will be, so this one, let me leave the space having some error, right? So double, so this will be distance 2. This is fine. Here I'll consider this one dy. Dy is nothing but we will be going with this dot y minus other dot y. This is fine. Next step is we have to return the formula is square root of will be making use of the math function right here, math dot square root here. This one will be dx into dx plus dy into dy. So this is fine. I'll just come out of this one entirely, right? So let me come out of this one entirely. Method as well as the class. We have just come out of the location class entirely. Now let's go with the abstract class for the user type. Nothing but this is the parent of the rider and driver, right? We have discussed this one in the UML diagram. So this is the main class, right? So this is the abstract class, sorry, not the main class. This is the abstract class for the user type. Basically, this is the parent of rider and driver. So I'll just go with here abstract class. Let me give user. So this one, within this class, we are having name and location, right? We are having ID, name and location. So here ID and name is of the type and location is of the type location. So we have already written the location class, right? Location is of the type location here. So this is fine. So now let's move on with the initialization part. So I'll just go with the constructor. Let me define the constructor here. This one string ID, string name we have, right? So here in this case, let me copy the same thing. Let me paste it over here. So here let me provide string again. So here let me leave the space here. String name and location is of the type location. So this one also we have to consider here as parameter. Just give me a second here. Let me paste it over here. So within the constructor, what are the things that we need to initialize? So let's go with this dot id equals id. So what are the things that we considered? ID as well as name and location, right? So this dot name equals name and the final thing here is location. So this will be this dot location equals location. This is fine. I hope this is completely clear. The next part is we have to update the user location. So we have to update the user location, right? For that we'll be making use of this one update location method. Let's write the update location method quickly. So I'll just go with void update location. So within this I'll just go with location. So within this method let me assign this dot location to location. So we are just updating the location, right? That is the reason I'm just assigning the location to location. This is fine. So let me come out of this method entirely. Means we have successfully come out of the entire class user class basically. Now we need a driver class that basically extends user and which adds availability as well. So let's write the same here. I'll just give here class driver which extends user, right? So I'll just give you ends user. So within the this one, within the driver class, we have only one variable here is available. So I'll just go with boolean is available, which is of the type boolean, right? Double spelling correct? Yeah, this is fine. Is available. So what happened here? Class driver extends user. Anything wrong here? There is no parameter constructor available in user. Just give me a second here. So this is fine, no worries. Let's move on with the this one initialization part. Let's make use of the constructor here. Let me go with driver. So within this one let's go with the id, string name, location, these three things. So here let me copy the same thing. Where did this go? Not the location, class user. Here string id, name, location. So let me copy this one. Let me paste it over here within the driver. So this is fine. So here in this case, so here let me make use of the super keyword here, as this is extending the user. Driver class extends the user and we are basically adding the availability right here. In this case, we'll be making use of the super keyword. So let me go with ID, name as well as location, these three things. So this is fine. So here this dot is available. So let's initialize this one to true, boolean value. This is fine. Let me come out of this one entirely. So driver class entirely, right? So now we are done with the driver class. Let's go with the rider class. Basically, driver and rider both extends the user class. So parent class is user. This one, parent class is user. We have already discussed this one. We have successfully written the driver class. Now let's write the this one, rider class. Basically, rider class extends the user class as well. So let me write a class rider extends user. This is fine. Extends user. So within this class, let me go with the rider. So same thing. Let me copy the same parameters here. Let me paste it over here. String ID, string name, location, location. Right. So within this class, what within the constructor, rider constructor, what we'll be doing, we'll be making use of the super keyword. So this consists of let's pass this one, ID, name as well as location. So basically a rider class is extending the user, right? So that is the reason we'll be making use of the super keyword here. This is fine. So let me come out of this class entirely. So we are done with the rider and driver class, which basically whose parent is user, right? User class. So now let's represent a ride, nothing but trip between the rider and this one, driver. So we will be going accordingly with the UML diagram. We have to write the class ride, right? So let's start writing the class ride here. So I'll just give class ride. Within this one, what were the variables we were making use of? ID, driver, rider, status, if you remember, for the ride, right? So let's go with here ID, which is of the type string, and driver, which is of the type driver itself. This is fine. Rider, so rider, type rider itself. Then the final one is status, which is of the type string, right? So here, what happened? We don't have the status. We should be having the status, right? Status. Oh, we haven't used the status. This is fine. A status, which is of the type string. First time we are making use of status. So here, this is fine. So let's go with the initialization part. Nothing but the let's make use of the constructor here on this case. So here, let me include these parameters. Rider, this one, string, ID, so driver. So let me include this one as well. So this one, rider, third one, this one. So let me include this one as well, rider. So the final one here is status. Status is not required here within this part, right? So let's initialize that one directly within the something. Let's give within let's initialize to the string, anything we can give. Let's see. So here in this case, this dot ID equals ID. This is fine. This dot driver, driver, this is driver. We are initializing this one to the driver. Rider as well, we have to do the same thing to rider as well. So rider, let's initialize this one to that rider. Finally, status, let's initialize this one to something within the strings. So we can just go with the initial status. Let's go with the requested, the term, right? This makes sense. Requested term makes sense here. So let me give requested here. This is fine. So what is this showing here? Invalid method declaration. What name we have given? Ride. Sorry, not the rider. So this is fine. Let me come out of this one entirely. Let me come out of the class, this one, ride class entirely. So this is it for the ride class. So here now let's go with the main system that manages everything. Nothing but if you remember the UML diagram, the ride sharing system managed everything. The main this one main system was basically or the main class was basically this one ride sharing system. That itself we will be writing now. Just give me a second here. It consisted so many variables and methods as well, right? So let's write the main system that manages everything. So let's go with the public here class ride sharing system. We got this one automatically, right? So this is fine. So here first we went with the drivers as well as the riders, which was of the type map. We should be able we should be we should create the hash map, and also we went with the rides as well, right? So that also consisted of the hash map itself. So we should be able to create the hash map. Let's create the hash map now. So I'll just go with map. So this will be driver. So let me give drivers here. Let's create the hash map. New hash map. This is fine. Should have automatically took, right? So this didn't. This is fine. So this is nothing but we are considering all the riders, all the drivers, all the riders, as well as all the rides here in this case. Let me copy the same thing and make the necessary change here. So let me copy this one. Let me paste this one twice and make the necessary changes. Here in this case, instead of the driver, let's go with the rider. This one, string rider, right? So this will be instead of the drivers, let's go with the riders new hash map. So instead of this one, let's go with the rides here. So map string, this one will be ride. So let me go with the ride here. In this case, string ride rider driver. This is fine. Drivers, we are considering the variables drivers, riders, as well as the rides. This is also fine. Created the hash map. So what error we are getting here? Why? Wrong number of type arguments. 1 required 2. The string class represents all string littles in Java programs such as this is correct itself, right? So what? So yeah, one thing I have to notice here is I haven't given comma here. That is the reason we are getting error. So this is fine. Comma was required here. This is fine. Next step here is we have to register the driver with the system. So we have to register the driver with system. Also we have to register the rider, right? So let's go with the two different this one, what do we call, methods. For registering the driver, let's go with the register driver method, and for registering the rider, let's go with the register rider method. First let's register the driver with the system. So I'll just give here void this one will be register driver. So I'll just go with here register driver. So we are going with string id, name, location. Same thing here. Let me come here, name, location, these things. Let me copy the same here. I don't want to type, so let me paste it over here, right? So this is fine. So within this, what shall we do? We have to add the register. We have to register driver of the system, right? So I'll just be making use of put operation here. So here in this case, id comma, let's go with the new driver of let's pass the same thing. What are the parameters that we considered here? Wait, here this one, parameters that we considered here plus id, name, as well as location. So let me pass the location as well. This is fine. So what error we are getting here? Location class location is exposed outside its visibility scope. Just give me a second here. It's fine, right? Location is of the type location. This is fine. Next let's go with the this one. we have to register the rider as well. So I'll just go with public void register rider. So same thing. Let me paste it over here as well. String ID, string name, location. So the type location, and instead of this one drivers, I'll just go with the riders dot put. So here we'll pass the exact same thing, right? So this will be put of ID, comma, we have to create new rider here in this case, rider, or we have to pass the same parameters, ID, name, as well as location. This is fine. So why this is considering another parenthesis here? This is fine. Let me give semicolon here. This is fine. So let me come out of this method entirely. So next we have to update the driver location as well. So we have to keep updating the driver location as well. For that one, we'll be making use of the update driver location method. So let's quickly write the update driver location method here. So here this will be public void update driver location. That this one is of the driver ID is of the type string here. So I'll just go with driver ID location is of the type location itself. So this is fine. So yeah, this is fine. So within this method, let's write the simple if condition. So we have to update the driver location, right? If drivers basically. Let's go with the contains key. What key it has to contain? Driver ID. So if it contains the driver ID key, so again, why this takes extra parenthesis? This is fine. So when the drivers, this one, it contains the driver ID key, then we have to go with the update location. Within the update location, we have to pass the location. So here in this case, I'll just go with your drivers. We have to get the driver ID basically. So this one, we are getting the value of the value based on the driver ID, and then what we will do, we will update the location. So we have the updation. Within this one, let's pass the location. This is fine. So let's come out of the this one, update driver location method entirely. So this one, register rider. So I'll just make this one this capital R so that this looks good. This is fine. So next step is we are done with updating the driver location. Basically, we wrote this one update driver. We wrote code for the update driver location method. Next, if rider requests a ride, then we have to find the nearest available driver, right? So that's what we need to do. If rider requests a ride, then we have to find the nearest available driver. For that one, let's go with the request ride, this one class, right? So here I'll just go with public string request ride. What happened here? Request ride, which is of the type string. So here this has the parameter rider ID. This consists of the parameter rider ID, which is of the type string basically. First step is let's initialize the rider. So this one rider, I'll just give riders dot get here. We have to get the rider ID, right? So based on the rider ID. So next step is let's go with the variable nearest driver, which is of the type driver basically, nearest driver, and let's initialize this one to null. This is fine. Next, let me go with this one, min distance, which is of the type double. Min distance, this is fine. Let me initialize this one to double. Max underscore value. This is fine. Double dot max underscore value. This is fine. So let's do one thing here. Let's go with a simple for loop here. right? Let's go with the simple for loop here. This one, let me give driver. Let's go with driver D here. Drivers dot values. This is fine. So within this for loop, so we are just looping over all the drivers here, right? So after looping over all the drivers, we have to check if the driver is free or not. So for that one, to check whether driver is free or not, let's go with a simple if condition here. If D, we are already having is available, I'll just give here D dot is available. So within this if condition, I'll just go with the list here, distance, sorry, dist, not the list, basically dist, which is of the type double, and I'll just go with D dot location distance to, within the distance to function, we'll be going with the, we have to display rider location, right? So I'll just go with the rider dot location. So this is it. Then if the distance is less than minimum distance, then we will assign minimum distance to dist and we will assign the nearest driver to D. So right, so here this is simple. If distance is less than minimum distance, then what we will do, we will assign minimum distance to dist here. Also nearest driver, let's assign this one to D. This is fine. Let me come out of this one entirely. Right, so here now what we will do, if no driver is available, then we have to return null in that case. So let me write the simple if condition here. If nearest driver, so if equals null, means if driver is not available, then we have to return null. This is fine. Next step here is we have to book the driver. After booking the driver, we have to get the unique ID, and then we have to save the ride. Right? These things we have to do. First, let's book the driver. So here for booking the driver, I'll just go with the nearest driver dot is available. Let's initialize this one to false initially. Then we have to get the unique ID, right? So I'll just go with here. What happened here? Let me go with the ride ID, which is of the type string. So we have to get the unique ID, right? So I'll just go with the UUID. Let's make use of the random UUID here. In this case, random UUID. Let's give. I have to convert this one to string. So I'll just be making use of toString here on this case. So this is fine. So let's go with the ride variable, which is of the type ride itself. So here we have to go with new ride. We have to create the new ride here. New ride. Let's pass three parameters here: ride ID, nearest driver, rider. So ride ID, yeah, this one, ride ID, nearest driver, as well as rider. This is fine. So next step here is we have to save the ride. So for saving the ride, I'll just make use of the put property here. So this one I'll just go with rides put. Within the put, I'll just go with ride ID as well as let me pass the ride as well. This is fine. This is it. This is it for the saving ride. Then we have to return the ride ID. I'll just go with ride ID. So this is it, right? Next, I'll just come out of this one. So we have to mark the ride as started. Once the ride is started, we have to mark the ride as started. So for that one, I'll be going with the method start ride, right? So we have to mark the ride as started, and once the ride has ended, we have to mark the ride as this one, end ride. So let's do the same thing. We'll be going with the two methods. One is start ride and another one is end ride. So let's start writing the code for start ride method here. So I'll just give here void here in this case start ride of this is we'll be making use of ride ID as parameter, which is of the type string. So I'll just go with here ride ID, which is of the type string here in this case, right? So this is fine. So within this method, let me go with the simple if condition here. This will be writes contains key. Let's pass the argument here, this one, ride id itself we have to pass, right? Ride id itself. So here let's initialize the status to something. Initially we have given somewhere requested, right? So we know that one. I remember we have given requested. Here in this case we have to write let's mark the once the raid has started, let's initialize the status to ongoing. So this will be the best term, right? We can just initialize the status to ongoing. So here I'll just give riders or rights, sorry, not riders, rights. We have to get the ride id, so I'll just be making use of get of ride id here in this case. So dot status, let's initialize this one to ongoing. So this is relevant, so this is the best term I thought of. So I'll just be giving ongoing. You can give any this thing, any term that's relevant basically. So I'll just give here ongoing. Let me come out of this one, this method entirely. So let me copy paste the same thing and make the necessary changes for the end ride method as well. Here instead of start ride, I'll just give here end ride. This is fine. Ride id will be the parameter for this as well. So here in this case, we have to go with rights dot contains key of ride id. This remains same. So then here within this one, this will be the last basically. Write dot status also we need basically, but let me remove this one first. Before this one, what shall we do here? So I'll just go with write variable here, rights dot, here I'll just, we have to get the ride id, so I'll just go with dot get of ride id. So this is fine. Let me do one more thing here. Let's go with the status here, ride dot status. So let me initialize this one too. This is the end ride, right? For start ride we have been given ongoing. For the end ride we have to give here completed. Once we completed this one, right, we have to give something, right? So in this case I'll just give the term completed within the string. You can give anything that is relevant. I'll just give here completed, right, dot status. That's it, right? So then we have to free that driver. Means driver should be available for the next ride, right? So we have to free the driver. For that, what I'll do, I'll just give here ride dot driver, in this case dot is available. Here in this case is available. Let me set this one to true. This is fine. So let me come out of this one entirely. So what I'll do here, we have to show the right status. We have to show the right status. Means we have to show the right status, right? Within the output also we'll be showing this one. I'm telling now itself. So let's do one thing. Let's write the print right status method. Sorry. So I'll just go with here public void print ride status. Here within the status we will be having this one, ride id as parameter. So let me do one thing. Let me copy the same thing over here. Let me paste it over here, string ride id. So this is fine. So within the print ride status method, so let's write the simple if condition. If, so I should have copied the same thing, man. Right content. So let me copy this one as well. So here in this case, let's make the necessary changes basically. So here, let me do one thing. Just give me a second. Why this is not taking? Yeah, this didn't take if condition. So what happened here? So let me copy this one, these 4 lines. Let me paste it over here. If writes dot contains key of ride id, this remains same here. This one ride, this also remains same, right? We have to get the ride id, right? So this also remains same here. These 2 things we don't need, right? So we don't need these 2 things. This is not related to basically end ride. This is related to print ride status, right? So here in this case, let me make this capital R. So to just to get rid of the error, let's print some message here. So we have to just print the ride status here, right? So I'll just go with this out here. So I'll just keep ride status here in this case. So let's do one thing. Let's concatenate here ride status. So dot status. This is it, right? So we have successfully print the message here. So this is fine. We are just showing the right status here. So I'll just come out of this method entirely. So the next thing is we will be going with the is driver available method. So we'll be going with the is available method. This is going to be the last method, right? Within this class. Within what class we are writing now? Request ride, right? So here let me do one thing. So I'll just go with here public boolean. So is driver available, right? So I'll just go with here is driver available. So this is fine. Driver ID, let's go with the driver ID of the type string here in this case. Ride ID. So let me type this one string. So let me pass the parameter driver ID. So this is fine. Within the method is driver available. So let's return this one drivers. So we should write the code to show whether the driver is free or not, right? Whether the driver is free from the previous this one ride, and he should be able to take another ride, right? So whether we have to check if the driver is free or not. In this case, I'll go with drivers dot contains key. So based on the driver ID we are going. So let me pass the driver ID here. After passing the driver ID here, so why this is taking to this one? So yeah, this is fine. And we have to get the driver ID. So I'll just go with here drivers dot get driver ID. We have to check whether available or not. Is available. I'll just go with the term is available, right? This is fine. So let me come out of this method. This is it for the is driver available. So let me format the code once so that this looks good. So this is fine, right? Yeah, fine. This is fine. Next, let's go to the main method. This is for the testing purpose. Nothing but you can just call this one as demo flow. We have to check for the output, right? Whether this code works or not. So let's add some two drivers and two riders, or one rider we can just add, and we can just check. Let's check. Let's write the code. While writing the code itself, I'll explain. Just keep this in mind. This is nothing but the main method, right? So here I'll just give public static void main. Let me go with string arguments. So within the main method, let me go with ride sharing system main class. So this one, let me make use of ride sharing system. Let me go with RSS as this one variable. So here let me give new. Let's create the ride sharing system. We already have this one, so this will take automatically. So we are just initializing the system here, right? So here in this case, ride sharing system RSS dot register rider. So here in this case, let me make use of the register driver rider. Sorry, not the driver. So I'll just we have three parameters, I think, right? So I'll just go with the D1. This one ID ID. So let me go with driver 1. So this one has to be within the string. Basically we have ID, name, and the location as well. We have passed three parameters, right, within the this one rider this one ride sharing system. So ID is T1 we have given, name driver 1 we have given. In this case, location we have extend by as parameters within the location as parameters. So extend by, I'll just pass here 0, 0. So this is fine. Next step here is let's go with again RSS ride sharing system. Your let me go with the register driver this time. So I went with the here, this one also should be register driver itself, not the rider basically. So here, yeah, this is fine. So let me give here, I should have copied and made the necessary changes. So new, I'll just give id d2 in this case, and name I'll just give here driver 2, and finally what I'll do, location I'll just give here anything. Let me give 5,5 here in this case. This is fine. So the next step is, after adding the two drivers, we have to add one rider. So let's go. You can go with any rider basically. So I'll just go with one rider here. As we are having two drivers, we have added successfully added two drivers. You can check with any number of drivers. So I insist you to check thoroughly with the code that we have written, right? So I can just go with any number of drivers, and accordingly whatever the number of drivers you have added, accordingly with that you can go with certain riders as well, right? So here I'll just go with one rider. So I'll just give your ride sharing system RSS dot register rider. So I'll just give here, in this case we have to go register rider, not the previous one. Here we are registering the driver basically, right? We are adding two drivers here in this case. Now here we are adding one rider. So here in this case, register rider, what are the parameters we are having? Rider, this one id will be r1. Okay. Next we are going the name. I'll just go with rider1. Anything relevant you can go. I'll just give here rider1, and for this one also we are having location, I guess. So I'll just go with new location. Let me give some location, rider wherever he wants to go. I'll just give the location 1, 1 here. In this case we have considered location x and y, both are of the type int, right? So just for the example sake, right? So we have considered this one. This is fine. We have successfully added one rider. Now let's request the ride by rider. So I'll just consider here ride id, which is of the type string here in this case, right? So let me leave the space here. Yeah, this will be ride id. So this will be ride sharing system RSS request ride. Let's request the ride here in this case. So I'll just go with here r1. So this is fine. Let's go with r1 here. Means n is nothing but number of drivers here. N is nothing but number of drivers here. So here in this case, let's print the ride id. When I say let's print the ride id, I'll just go with it's out here. You have to print the ride id. So within the string, let me give here some relevant text here, ride id. And let's concatenate the ride id along with this. So I'll just go with ride id. This is fine. Let's start the ride now. So we have to start the ride now. So I'll just give ride sharing system RSS, but I'll just go with start ride here, right? Start ride of let's pass the ride id here in this case. So we have successfully passed the ride id, and again RSS, nothing but this one, ride sharing system. Oh, so we have to print ride status as well, right? So I'll just go with print rider status. Let's pass ride id here. This is fine. This is for the starting the ride, right? So this is for starting the ride. Now after completing the ride, we have to end ride, and we have to print the end ride status as well. So just go with here ride sharing status dot end ride here. Within the end ride, I'll just pass ride id. This is fine. So next step here is ride sharing system. Here this one will be print ride status. This one let's pass here ride id. This is fine. The final step here is we have to check if the driver is free now. We have to check whether the driver is available or whether the driver is now free or not. So let me give s out here. Let's write some relevant text here. I'll just give driver d1 available. Let me put the question mark here. So this is fine. Let's concatenate here rider sharing system RSS dot is driver available of this one. Let me pass who is available. We have to check for d1, right? So within the string I'll just give d1 here in this case. So this is it for the code basically, right? We have successfully completed. Let me format the code once here so that this looks good. Yeah, this looks good, right? So any errors, let's check here. What is the error we are having here? And package missing out.example right change. This is fine. This is fine. Apart from this, do we have anything? So here this is one error we are getting. Class location is outside it, different visibility scope. I hope this works. Let's see. Apart from that, we have everything correct, right? So let me run the code once. Let's see that this works or not. I hope this works. Let's see. So here you can clearly see we are getting the successful rider ID here, right? So we are getting the ride ID, sorry, not the rider ID. Basically, we are, just give me a second here. So we are getting the ride ID here, right? So we have made use of the UUID, random UUID, if you remember. So we are getting the correct rider, I mean ride ID, ride status ongoing. Initial ride status we have given here somewhere here at the end. So just give me a second here. This one, start ride here, this one, rss.start ride of ride ID, and we are printing the status here, right? So when started, we are getting ongoing. Right status, we have completed this one. So we have successfully completed this one I'm speaking of. End ride also we have given here, right? End ride of ride ID, and we are printing the status here, ride ID. So here ride status completed also we are getting. This is fine. This works absolutely correct. So here in this case, driver D1 available. Yes, he is available, right? So we are getting the boolean value true because the ride has been completed. So here you can clearly see ride status completed we are getting. Driver D1 is available. Yes, he is available, right? So in this case we are getting true. So let's make this one correctly. So this looks good. I leave space here. So this looks, so this is fine. So this is it. We are getting the perfect output. We are getting the correct output right here. So just give me a second here. So basically, what happened here? Yeah, basically what is happening here is a new ride is successfully assigned to the nearest available driver D1 for the rider R1, right? So, and a unique ride ID is generated. That unique ID we are getting here, ride ID, right? So, a new ride is successfully assigned to the nearest available driver D1 for the rider R1, right? And a unique ride ID is generated. That's what we are showing in the form of output, ride ID. And the ride status updates to ongoing after the ride is started. We are getting ongoing. So, the code is working correctly. After ending the ride, the status updates to completed. We have successfully ended the ride. We are printing here this one as well. So now we are getting completed as well. Finally, the previously booked driver D1. So we have booked the driver D1 and the ride status is completed. Now the previously booked driver D1 is now available again for the new ride request here in this case. So we are getting the boolean value true here. This works absolutely correct. The code works absolutely correct in this case, right? So now what shall we do? Let's do one thing. Let's discuss the complexities for the some important methods, and then let's discuss about the future scope of the code that we have written, right, accordingly with the UML diagram. Let's now let's discuss the complexities. So here first let's go with the registered driver or rider. We are registering the driver or rider, right? So the time complexity for that particular method is this one. What do we call this one? Time complexity is big of 1 and the space complexity is big of 1 here in this case, right? So this is fine. Let's go with the second one here. Request ride. For the request ride method, the time complexity is big of n and the space complexity is big of 1. So just keep this in mind. So when we have written the code, we should be knowing the complexities as well, right? So here in this case, let's go with the start ride as well as the end ride. Start or end ride, the time complexity, start or end ride, right? We went with the end. So we have used in the main class as well this one, the method. start and end, right? Start, right, and end, right? We have made use of this one in the main method as main class as well, right? So the time complexity of it is big of 1 and the space complexity is big of 1 as well. And finally the location updates, we have to keep updating the location, right? So here the time complexity and the space complexity remains big of 1 for the location updates as well. So these 4 things we need to consider here. So let's come to the final part here. N is nothing but number of drivers, M is nothing but number of riders here in this case, K is nothing but number of rides. Just keep this in mind. Right here, basically the the space complexity of the system storage. So here, why I said this one is, so I didn't mention this one. Don't consider, don't get confused here. So here the space complexity of the system storage is N plus M plus K. Basically, system storage, the space complexity of the system storage is big of N plus M plus K, where N is nothing but the number of drivers, M is nothing but here number of riders, and K is nothing but the number of rides here, right? Just keep this in mind, the 5 things we have discussed for the complexities, important methods, as well as this one, system storage, right? So these things we have to keep in mind. Let's come to the last part or the final part, future scope. So when I say future scope means whatever the code that we are writing, before writing the code, we should keep these things in the mind, basically, right? We should keep these things in the mind. First one is spatial indexing, right? First one is spatial indexing accordingly with the problem. Spatial indexing means, example, you can just consider quad tree, right? So you can just consider quad tree means, when I say spatial indexing, so we should be able to optimize the nearest driver lookup from big O of n to big O of logarithmic n. Here in this case, we should be able to optimize nearest driver lookup from big O of n to big O of logarithmic n. Just keep this in mind, right? So this is fine. Let's move on with the second one here in this case. Just give me a second here. Let's move on with the second one here. This one, concurrency support. When I say concurrency support, we should be able to add thread safe collections or logs. We should be able to add thread safe collections, right? We should be able to add thread safe collections, right? Collections or logs in this case. That's what the concurrency support is. So here in this case, third one is payment and billing modules. When I say payment and billing modules, so here I'm speaking of fare calculation, taxes, as well as the coupons. These 3 things we have to keep in mind at any cost, right? So let's go with the fourth one here, rating system. When I say rating system, we have to provide the rating system for both driver as well as the rider feedback. So both for the rider as well as driver feedback, right? We have to provide rating system for both rider and driver feedback. So this is fine. Next, let's move on with the driver ETA calculation. Means we have to make use of this one, real maps or the distance API. So we have to provide the this one. We have to provide the maps, right, for the this one, for the rider as well as the driver. In that case, we should be able to use the real maps or the distance API, right? This is nothing but for the driver ETA calculation. So next one, cancellation flow and penalties. So if we cancel at the end time, we should go with the correct cancellation flow, and we have to provide certain penalties for that, right? So this one I'm speaking of. So notification system we didn't consider. So yeah, let's consider notification system, the final one. So notification system, we have to go with the SMS or push, or we should be able to provide the email support as well. Just keep this in mind. These are the things, feature scope, that we need to keep in mind while we design the code or write the code, or while we design the UML diagram as well, right? Accordingly with the UML diagram itself, we will be writing the code. So while we design the UML, this one diagram, you should be able to keep these things in mind. Then we have to design the UML code, and then we have to write the code, right? So we have successfully discussed this one, complexities for the code that we have written, as well as the future scope as well. Now we have the idea on the code as well as the UML diagram as well. What I am trying to say here is, we have successfully solved the design problem, ride sharing system, right? So for now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.